end up getting like
the
first number out of the gate. I think it was like 120 or something crazy. Good.
Yeah.
The only thing I ask you, please don't tell people about this because once WMC realizes you can do this, it ends up they'll mix it. So we've been able to fly under the radar, and that's the nice thing about being small. Because nobody ever talks about this on Reddit, thank goodness, or Roger's page or any of those. So it works out well. But if we work as a team, everybody wins. So it's kind of that mentality. Okay. So day number one. Main reason you were here, you want to get a good MCAT score. And I want all of you to just take that in heart. What does it mean? What do you have to do to get a good MCAT score? So the reality is your score is going to be whatever it is. You have to get as many questions right as you can. It's not knowing a lot of information, it's knowing how to apply a lot of information. I think the biggest mistake people make straight out of the gate is they're really stressed out about doing content review. Gotta get my content, gotta get the stuff memorized, gotta keep flashcards, gotta get it organized. And because, quite honestly, how many of you got confidence in school when you memorize stuff? How many felt that led to success? Certainly most bio classes, OCAT for sure. How many read? There's lots of memorization to do in school. Definitely. Memorization leads to success in school. So the first thought is, well, MCAT's a lot of information. Things I learned in school, so therefore if I memorize a lot, I'm going to be in good shape. Ends up, it's a faulty logic, and anytime you hear somebody who studies, I guarantee you, hear somebody who studied 4 months, 5 months, did everything, and they didn't do well, it's almost guaranteed that they did not do enough passing some questions, and they didn't learn how to apply this, they just knew it, but when the MCAT presented it in this weird, bizarre package, they couldn't deal with it. So there's somebody's asking, is there any preference which MCAT you sign up for? I don't think so. I mean, the only preference I would consider if I was signing up for this, you'll notice the dates are pretty much all Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, mostly Friday and Saturday. Think about your commute. And I'm going to tell a horror story, which is terrible to do, but this is what happens. Years ago, when they had this thing called the in-person MCAT, which I mean, that is what it is now, but I mean, let me rephrase that. Just like the massive centers that would have full classrooms full of people doing it. One of the test centers was near where I live, Glendale. And it ends up on a weekday. Glendale's a pretty busy city, and they had to park in a parking structure next to where the test center was located. And if you were turning right next to the test center, no problem. If you were turning left, it was taking 10, 15, 20 minutes for a spot to finally open up because people turning right weren't letting them in. Can you imagine being stuck in that left turn lane, getting there like 7:50, super diligent person getting there early, and not pulling into the parking structure until almost 8 o'clock? Where would your mindset be? How stressed would you be? I mean, I'd be out of my mind, freaked out if I'm spending 30 minutes, 35 minutes trying to get parked and I'm going to miss my test. Those little things, those are the things that you want to worry about, what day you sign up for. Commute, transportation, I mean, whatever is going to be an issue that day, take into account weekday or weekend. That's about the only thing I think is a major decision maker. Whether you take in January, March, or supposed to be on time to apply when applications open up in early June, and you still have time to even get heated if you need to. So the day you take it, I think should be just something you pick for whatever your absolute personal reasons are. There is no advantage to occur of one day over another anymore. Used to be that way years ago. And so every now and then you hear somebody mention, oh, the curve is easier at a certain time. That's somebody who's living in the past by at least 20 years. And there definitely was once upon a time where you took it, what region and when you took it had separate curves because they do different tests in different areas. Now everybody gets the same test. It's all pre-curve, meaning a good amount of your tests has already been scaled based on previous test takers. Okay, and that's one of the things I'll get into. Yep. You need a time machine? Hey, if you get one of those, please let me know. I need one for other purposes. Anyway, another story for another day. But I don't have it right now. It's not loaded up here. But if you email me, you can send it over. Or I can send you this email address for the student who runs it. because ultimately she's the one who is in charge of everything. She did an amazing job setting it up. Okay. So today, main thing today is just get a taste what MCAT's about an hour's worth of details, and then one just go over some sample questions. And more than anything, what you to realize to do well on this test starts with recognizing basically how things work. Okay. So there's the other thing, and that's one thing I really want to encourage from day one. If you guys are game with this, share with each other. Like you are your best resource. And so the whole mentality is if you share with somebody, it'll eventually come back. I don't know how many believe in that, but it sure has come true in my life year after year. So thank you for loading that up. And again, if you don't get it or you need something, definitely do email me. But yeah, anybody, and also like anybody who does get the handout. Once I start the lecture, I can't really log out of it. But if somebody else wants to load it up, that also works out too. So if and this will happen in the summer, there'll be a glitch with the portal, and you won't be able to get into anything. Have a friend in the class to help you out and pick up the mess when this happens. And like just handouts or whatever else you need. Okay. So onward we go. So sections of MCAT starts off with chem and physics, the biological systems, which basically is a long-winded way of saying biochem, some GChem, some OChem, some physics, but associated with bio. So really good example, translational motion. How many remember memorizing kinematics equations, like how far something goes in a certain amount of time, how fast it's going, if it hits the ground, if it falls for a certain distance? How many have definitely been asked those questions? In fact, how many reach conclusions? Physicists are clumsy. They're always dropping things off cliffs and buildings, and somehow somebody's always around trying to measure it. So all that translational motion. This translational motion really have a biological application. So you can throw a ball, but that's the physics of your body pushing off the ground, torque in your elbow, your wrist, generating velocity and all that. So you can pretty much guarantee if there's a transitional motion question, it's going to be one freestanding question there. So ask people taking MCAT. In general, there isn't much transitional motion. In fact, I should ask that. For any of you who have taken the MCAT before, remember getting any transitional motion on your test at all. And by the way, I should have. Okay, so none for one person. And fine. Okay, yeah. So somebody just posted private. Answer public or private. I just want as much feedback as possible. If you're shy and don't want to chime in, I get it. I would be a shy person. For private chat box, I would never say who said it, but definitely there's great comments about private. Yep. So exactly. So none like the typical physical, and then one private said I got none. And then another one. It just doesn't show up that way. So for instance, we agree. There's physics questions that kind of weird. There are five. You either have to look at a data chart for some experiment or machine or device you've never seen before in your life. Maybe doesn't exist. They made it up. Or I remember one time I sat for it, had to figure out the torque associated with a certain motion of the body. So I know one of the practice tests where the fulcrum would stand up. This one was what is the approximate moment on when you bend with the weights. And so it's like these sorts of things that make you have to sit there and apply it to a new situation. The main thing about studying this test, figure out how it applies. So when we do fluids, are there any fluids in the body? Yep. Air and blood. Those are the two. So blood, how do you get blood to flow? Why does blood move around the body? How does this basically happen? The heart creates high pressure. Hydrostatic pressure or pressure differential. Exactly. So some called point state law you learn in physics, where if you apply high pressure to one and low pressure to the other, fluid will flow from high pressure to low pressure. The bigger the pressure difference, the more fluid flows. You definitely learn that in physics. Volume per time. That's the Poiseuille's law for volume flow rate. But how many also learned in physiology
you
you learn
something
something called cardiac output. Stroke volume times frequency times heart rate. That's also going to be volume per second. Are those the same thing? Volume per second, whether it's cardiophysiology or whether it's physics, Poiseuille's law, looking the same thing. That's where physics is going to apply. How do the lungs work? How does the heart work? Your job is to know the fundamentals, know the basics, but be able to apply it. And so that's what hopefully we will do. We'll give you a lot of examples of how these things apply. Your job, get comfortable and confident with them. Okay. So onward I march. You get a 10-minute break before you start the next section. Little things that people have said over the years that have been really helpful. Number one, bring extra masks. It may be a little thing, but how many, number one, have your glasses fog up when you use a mask? And so one of the tricks that people are telling me is they take a straw, cut it like just an inch long, and they put it between their cheek and the bottom of their mask so they have a little vent coming out the bottom so they don't steam up as much. Also, how many just don't like wearing a mask for 95 minutes, let alone 7 or 8 hours? They're not most comfortable. I mean, you get used to it. But realize that's going to be your reality, so what you should do, bring new masks and practice your practice test wearing a mask. Perfect. And these are the kind of things, if you don't mind those sorts of tricks, please share them, because honestly, you're your best resource for how these things work. But it's little things like that where you can improve your experience just a dumb little thing like that. Bring water, bring a snack, know where the toilet is. Most times the bathroom is in the same facility, but no. And for anybody who's taking the MCAT, every time you leave for a break, come back in, they have to go through the same interrogation process and handprint you and everything they do, so it takes a while. Just relax. Calm. Don't let the logistics get to you. Angry proctor, roll with it. This is your test. This is your day. Just make sure you know where everything is. See, that's actually a pretty good idea. So putting on comfortable shoes. Anything that makes you less stressed, I will say one of the really cool things that I saw somebody recommend. And you're gonna hear me say this a lot, but for anybody who's ever taken martial art or dance or some sort of sport that had balance, how many ever heard of center? Find your center, get centered. And then there's the concept of recenter. Every time you feel you're losing your balance, recenter yourself. You should be doing that on test day as well. You should have a very specific way you sit, where your shoulders are set, your neck is set, your head is set. It is your neutral position, your comfort zone. Whenever you start getting anxious, take a deep breath, massage your fingertips for a couple seconds, get back to that comfortable position, and get ready. So again, if you've ever done a sport or dance, how many do you agree when you get in that position, you just feel more ready? When your body's centered, if you're going to do a dance move, if your body is centered, you feel more prepared for it. Get that same sort of mentality. I mean, because honestly, for everybody who's taking the MCAT, how many of you had moments where you just got really anxious and really nervous, and it just took a little bit to get back centered? Anxiety kicks up along the way. Be ready to deal with that. Be ready to recenter yourself. Yeah, and that's the thing. Way too many people don't. It's like you're going to get stressed. Don't think you're not. You're going to. But reconnect. Yep. And you get burnt and tired. One of the most brilliant things I saw anybody ever comment. This was 25 years ago. The last section of the test, they would always study it. They'd always go to bed when they were really tired, really spent, really burnt. They'd always do one passage from that section. So the last section is now Psych Soc. Do a psych passage when you're really spent and tired, because that's practical training. They also would get up first thing in the morning and always do cars with first in. So they do a cars passage, but now with Chem Physical, that'd be the first thing they do in their day, and then they study as they will. But these are little things that if you do, you're preparing for your experience. Train for what it's really going to be. Okay. Have a mask change, snack, do what you're going to do. Some people don't leave the room, some do. Totally up to you. Second test, cars. I'm probably the worst person in the world to ever give cars advice, but I will give my small take on it. First off, I need to confess that I am the product of the LA Unified School District growing up, meaning I'm illiterate, and still, because of where I went to school, meant you could still be an honor student and be illiterate. I'm slow reader, always have been. It's just life. So if somebody gave me advice to try speed reading, help me get through the test, how would you rate that? Smart advice or terrible advice? Terrible. Worst advice you'd ever get. You do not pick anything up when you speed read. Contrary to, I can move my eyes really fast across words, I just don't comprehend them. The best advice I got was okay, slow reading. That's your reality. Don't try to change it. But when you read, thoroughly pick things up and do not waste time. Don't try these techniques that make you sit and take notes. Just focus on your reading and get really fast at questions. So what I did is I looked at all the WC materials and I analyzed not only the question type, but certain typical wrong answers. So there's certain questions like word connotation. What does word incongruent growth mean in line 23? There's always a wrong answer that is just a direct dictionary definition, just a straight dictionary that doesn't work. And there's always a wrong answer that is something taken from the wrong part of the passage that isn't line 23. When I started recognizing not only the question type, but the typical wrong answers they throw, I was able to eliminate two answer choices really fast, like 5 to 10 seconds, which meant I was getting it down to 1 out of 2 choices. Half the time I knew it, half the time I was guessing 50%. Ends up, I probably got 75% right. My score went from the equivalent of a 123, I got a 6 on the old test, to an 11, the equivalent of a 128. All because of two things. First thing was just that. Don't know your weakness or your strength. So I adjusted and made a technique that worked for me. If you're a fast reader, my advice right now is worthless to you. Make sure the technique you're using is built around your skill set and compensate for your weaknesses. Number two, we're scientists. As scientists, we take in information, we incorporate it with everything else, and we try to answer questions. Do you use map information on cars, or is it all based on the passage? Everything's based on the passage. So when you start using your background information, it hurts you. So what a teacher years ago, his advice to me was, stereotype the author. Predict what the author would pick. The question you're asking isn't what is right. The question you should be asking, what would the author pick as the best answer? Those two things worked magic for me. Those brought my score up. So somebody illiterate and as bad at English skills as I am can do okay. You can learn to do better. You can learn to do well. Some of you I'm sure would. My score you blow it away just day one. But for those of you on the bottom 50%, like I spent most of my life reading, little things can make you do better. Okay. I'll move on from there. I'm gonna put a circle on this because I don't know for sure if every test center will do 30 minutes. Some do their own thing. It was 30 minutes when it's one test a day, but when it was 2 or 3 tests a day, they dropped it 10-minute break. You just don't know. So good question. Somebody asked, what if in cars you just don't know what the passages are saying? I will be honest that happened a couple times. I still, for whatever reason, was able to look at questions and fish back and find keywords. And I mean, it wasn't as, it sounds weird, but I don't remember that being a problem when I took it. And if anybody else wants to chime in, how many found that there were passages on cars that you didn't understand or you just didn't fully grasp and you still were able to field the questions? Did that happen to anybody else? That definitely was my reality of a couple. Yes. Actually, I want to quote what Sophie said. That is so true. To get a bell curve, they do that. I guarantee the science, there's going to be a passage or two on a machine you don't understand that nobody in the right mind would ever use. Again, can't talk specifics about when I've taken it, but maybe I might have had something on a thing called a rheometer, which basically studies how fast toothpaste comes out of the tube. Who in the right mind actually studies that except for 3 people in the entire world, probably? But I was able to liken it to something I did know, and it worked really, really well. I didn't understand the passage, but I knew enough.
Yep.
And somebody mentioned that. I don't care about the field. I don't care about this topic. Oh, that was a lot on mine. I hear you. So how? Let me. As questions come in, let me field them. One of them is how accurate are the questions in the book? I'm trying to be politically correct here. I'm a big proponent of transparency and honesty and candidness, and so I'm going to, instead of giving my opinion, because the truth of the matter is, I've never been through a cars book. I've started a few things, and it just wasn't in me to finish it. So in all fairness, I'm speaking like with no expertise, but my gut feeling from everything I've ever read at Suit Talker Network, I've read it. Nothing is a good passage except for AAMC. So you're doing these for timing, you're doing these for exposure, you're doing these for getting used to things. And even then, your test might have longer, shorter passages, be ready to be surprised. But only good cars passages out there from anybody, any source, not just us, but anyone, is AAMC. Yep. So exactly. So Sophie just posted in there. You were better off doing them second or third time. You're better off doing AAMC multiple times than any other resource. And I'm not just bad mouthing cars. I mean, literally the entire cars industry.
Yeah. See,
I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard UWorld is really good for PsychSoc. AMC, Association of American Medical Colleges, they're the people you sign up and register for the MCAT. So they will sell packets of practice tests, 2-pack section banks. They're called practice tests, full-length practice tests. The cars material in those, the cars material that they release sample material is by far the best. So AAMC is the actual test maker, Association of American Medical Colleges. Yeah. So okay. Let me. So I don't know what to tell you about computers. I'm just going back to a previous thing. I want to talk about that real quick. The con thing. Con is absolutely possibly excellent for PsychSoc, and here's why. PsychSoc section of the test didn't exist in 2014. They started in 2015. Con came on board with AMC, and they actually worked in tandem to develop the PsychSoc curriculum. One of our teachers, our very first teacher, that thing I sent out with the con link with Veronica Yann's reference. Her lab, 4 people in her lab worked for either AAMC or Con, writing material, making videos, writing questions, and worked out. Has Con expired? I know they said they're going to, but has it really? And somebody's going to load it up somewhere. Okay, yeah. They threatened to do it, but they haven't yet. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Somehow. Okay. Yeah. I mean that rumor goes back and forth all the time. They're there as far as I know, and it'd be hard to get rid of them because other places were gonna load them up. But for PsychSoc, they're phenomenal. For cars, I hear they're okay. They're pretty good. I don't know if they're as good as anything else, but for bio, use Con for reviewing certain material. Like maybe you don't remember how Sanger sequencing works. You listen to a video, maybe double speed where you know it, slow down for the spot you don't. But the passages themselves in Con actually aren't all that great in the sciences. I personally don't recommend. I've gone through the chem physics, and I think there's better things out there. But for PsychSoc, they're phenomenal. For cars, anything will work if you want to have just exposure. But doubling C and everything else is far away. Okay, so doubling C is funding it now? Okay, that's perfect. They really should. I mean, they've taken enough money on it. But that also means eventually they're probably going to charge for it. Okay. It's funny I'm talking so much about cars, because that's my personal weakest link. So I'm going to run away and have the next one. Bio, next section. This one's pretty straightforward. This is probably the people I think underestimate how hard the bio section is, because everybody's a bio major. They make slightly hard questions for that. So don't underestimate it. And then finally, the last section, psych-soc. This is one I wanted just to mention real briefly. When the AMC switched over to the new style test and added psychology, that was in 2015, and their committee, the 20 people who were on the committee when they actually implemented it, I believe 17 of them were either psychologists or psychiatrists. So it was very disproportionate, and that 90% of the test was psych, 10% was sociology. Over the years, more and more sociology has appeared, to the point where now it's probably 60-40 or 67-33. Psych is still the more predominant thing. But Khan Academy is perfect for the psych. Oh, did you take it when it was 90%? Okay. So now when you took the test, was it more social or more psych in your opinion? Yeah. So they've gone completely the other way. They've started like implementing more and more social, writing more and more social passages, and it's basically because I think the backlash was that the psychologists took over everything. They switched it around and just made it a psych test. Now they definitely added social. Every single year it's gotten more and more. So you must have taken it reasonably recently, honestly. Like in the last. Okay. Yeah. So exactly, because it's gone more and more in that direction. The upside and downside. Upside is it's more applicable in medicine, but the downside. How many seen that 300-page or 86-page document or heard of it? Basically, Raj went and summarized the con information. That used to be worth its weight in gold. Now it's probably worth its weight in bronze. So it ends up that it's a little less inclusive anymore. They've added so many other things. It's still a great review. Still something to definitely look at. It's a great resource, but it doesn't include Soch. Or it doesn't have the con material didn't have a very good amount of Soch. And investing do. I mean, I'm that person who goes to Reddit and goes through Dr. Network after every exam. He goes through those threads, and you know damn well somebody's going to post something they shouldn't post. Screenshot it, catch what was on there, and then start asking people who took it what they knew about it. But look up random things. Glass escalator, prison, the impact of COVID on different population groups. I don't know. So the psych-soc thing is honestly to me, my experience was it's all over the map. So my personal experience with it was I had a ton of experiments. A ton of experiments on mine. There's other people who tell you it's kind of like Cars 2.0. It's all reading about theories. Other people tell you that it's just like situational. So I don't think, to me, based on everything that comes back from people who took the test, I think it's still kind of a wild west sort of thing where they just don't have it down. So there's another person, very experiment-based. That was certainly my experience. But I know there were people who said they hardly had any experiments on theirs. It was all application of theory. So be ready for anything on that one. I unfortunately don't think you can really plan for what to expect on that one. So that's also what I've heard. It's like Cars 2.0, but you have to be able to apply it. So it's a good day to be a psych major who took a lot of social classes. 3 years ago would be a better day to be a psych. Now you want to have a good amount of social in it. But this is the test. This is the layout of the test. Somebody mentioned 7 hours. You're in here 6 hours and 15 minutes of testing and about an hour of miscellaneous time. It is a long day. So. Okay, and I want to address this. This statement's going to come up a lot. I haven't taken class X in 5 years, 3 years, 6 years, 10 years. How many think you actually remember a lot right away and you lose it slowly over time, or you lose a lot the day the final ends and it levels off? So what is our memory loss? This curve, straight line, or drop off? Been done. Yep. I have to admit, I am this person. I've forgotten everything I'm going to forget. I've lost it in the first couple of weeks. So whether it's been 6 years, 6 months, or 6 hours, I still have lost a lot of it. The good news, and I want to address this because that's kind of a stressful thing for me to bring up, but you will be surprised how quickly this stuff comes back. In context, you will remember a lot of the information. So if you were worried, it's been a long time since I've seen it, I don't fully remember it, I don't know everything, relax, it's going to come back to you. Trust me on this one. You're going to be so surprised how much you remember in context. So question, what is the best prep to go for sociology? There is no best prep out there. That's what was nuts to me. So I think like Patricio's lectures were pretty solid last time, although I don't think he's the one teaching this time. He's the one doing cars. Reach out to him about what his list of topics are. So it's hard to defer to him, but Patricio, the social girl, he'll have a lot of information on what things to look up. But I just for me, I would do a search of all the things I heard about. Look up what the glass escalators. Look up and even some social psychology terms also come up, foot in the door, those sorts of things. Yep. How many? I mean, that's a perfect thing. The MCAT is asking you to apply things, not to know everything. You don't have to go into depth. But you have to know freaking everything. Oh yeah, there are definitely some things you're going to run into that you just haven't seen in your classes. Let me give you a perfect example. Let me do a graph here. What is that graph? Just looking at the shape of the graph, tell me what you see. I'm curious. So this is one of those knee-jerk responses. So for everybody who sees this graph, I haven't labeled it. Perfect. How many learn this as Vmax? And you look at KM, substrate is on there. When one have Vmax, substrate is half and all that. Perfect. What this actually was intensity of light. So it was basically concentration or intensity of light. Concentration. Had nothing to do with KM, but tell me what happens in the KM diagram. Why does it go up and level off? What's going on? For those of you who know this as a biochem, those of you who saw this as a biochem graph at first, what's going on? We reach saturation, exactly. You have so much enzyme. When you add in more and more substrate, you eventually saturate it. All the active sites are taken, so that any more substrate just sits and waits for an active site to open up. So the rate can only go as fast as the enzyme can bind it, turn it over, and release it. So we're limited. So you knew that you added to a certain concentration point, and it was saturated. Here's what they're really testing on this. You may not remember Beer's law and absorbance as a function of concentration, but if you remember this is the graph for saturation, then can you tell me when has the most amount of whatever you're adding in gone in? So if I add in 1 gram, so let me change this axis to grams added. What is happening right there? So can you take, here's something you've never seen before, or if you have, you barely remember it. Can you take what you learned in biochem and apply it? Hit its max. So you absorb as much light as possible. So as I keep on adding salt into the solution or compound in the solution, is it dissolving in, or is it saturated? Is it saturated and just sinking to the bottom? You reach saturation. This is the most salt that can go into that solution at that point. So here's that, going back to the question, what if you've never seen something before? Try to compare it to something you do know. And for anybody who's taking the MCAT, would you agree that happens reasonably often? There's two events that happen repeatedly. Number one, you didn't recognize something, but it looked like something else, and you made an analogy. Number one. And number two, you had no clue what the equation was, but you looked at the unit, figured it out from units. For anybody who's taken the MCAT before, did those two things happen? You recognize something, but from a different situation, and then use the units. The units happen a lot. The units are really powerful. This happens a little bit, but when you don't recognize something, do not panic. Catch your breath, recenter, and figure out, what do I know? Keep everything as simple as possible. That's just the best advice you can possibly get. And realize, I'm not going to get every question right. I'm going to do my dangest to make a good choice every time I can. But occasionally I'm just going to have to make a good educated guess. Like, I don't know this for sure, but I'm going to make an educated guess. I'm going to move on, and I'm going to brain flush it. Once I pick, I'm not going to worry about it anymore and let it bother me and mess me up on other questions. So if I'm perfectly happy, I can feel good on 50 out of 59 questions and make a good educated guess on 9. I'm walking out with a 129, 130, maybe even 131 if I'm lucky. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm targeting what I want, not perfection. Whereas most people, they go in targeting perfection. Okay. Let me get rid of my picture real quick here and say, this comes from the MCAT guide. Every one of you should spend the time to purchase the AAMC guide to the MCAT. Has a few practice questions, but most importantly, it tells you what the percentages are of how they ask things. It tells you what their goals are in asking things. And I gotta admit, they are pretty dang honest. It's a pretty wide range. But again, I want to do a quick survey here. How many felt the MCAT was a lot of physics? How many felt it was no physics? So either a lot or no. I'm curious if anybody's taken it. Either type a lot or none. A lot or little. No physics, none, a little, one private, a lot. Okay. So mostly 10%. Every now and then there's one that's going to be pushing to 30, but illusion there. OChem, a lot or a little. And you took it recently, and a little. Michaela, when did you take it? In May. Okay. But this past year. Okay. So interesting. So again, same sort of thing. A lot, a little, a lot. So all over the map. General chem and biochem, they kind of are always there. They don't fluctuate that much. But these two seem to fluctuate. You either get a lot of one, a lot of the other, but rarely both. It's a crapshoot. All I can say, the whole reason I bring that up, there is no consistent MCAT. What you get on one day will be different than what you get on another day. So don't expect anything. Expect lots of physics, expect lots of OChem, expect lots of GChem, lots of biochem, be ready for everything. There is no such thing, absolutely no such thing as a high yield subject except for amino acids. Yeah, that whole thing that there's a reputation for more OChem or more physics at certain times a year. It's just one of those things that, for whatever reason, when one person types it at Reddit and somebody repeats it, somebody else repeats and asks a question about it, suddenly it becomes true. There is so many things that just aren't true that get passed around. And I track the MCAT feedback from anybody who's taken it, going to share with me what they feel like the distribution was, and it's all over the map. It's just when somebody says it, they really get, like people take this to heart, and it's just not true.
Yep,
exactly. Also,
are there some subjects you see as OChem and somebody else sees as biochem?
So the one thing that I did in kind of a disorganized way, but I went ahead and I asked people physics versus GChem. This was before the old test. And I then asked which subject do you think is harder? And two people took the same test. One person told me it was mostly GChem, another person told me it was mostly physics. And guess what? The person who hated physics thought it was all physics. The person who hated GChem thought it was all GChem. It's experience and your opinions. So all I can tell you is take what you read with a grain of salt, or more importantly, look at information from lots of different people, lots of different resources before making this decision. And you'll find the MCAT's a scatter plot. Bio is a little bit more predictable, but yeah, OChem physics, hard to tell. Same thing, calculations. You're going to find 1 out of every 10 tests is riddled with tons of calculations. 9 out of every 10 don't have hardly any. So don't go with too many expectations. Okay. The scoring. This is I really want to emphasize not how it's scored, but more how they set up the test. So for anybody taking the MCAT, you have, depending on when you take it, let's say you take it towards the end of the year, you can apply the cycle that you're actually taking the MCAT. You can apply the next cycle and the cycle after that. So in theory, you can use MCAT for 1 of 3 application cycles. So to be completely fair from one administration to another, they have to make sure that the curve is fair. So that means the only way to do it is to have a universal curve that's given every single time the MCAT is given. So you'll notice they officially say there is no curve. What they should officially say is it's pre-curve. They should say that the curve is already decided. So they'll take, for instance, 17 questions from an exam 2 years ago. Let's say the scale was this back then. They'll take 17 over 59 and multiply by those numbers and generate a curve. So you get 17 questions from one old exam. You get 14 from another one, let's say, 16 from another one, and then they have some brand new questions that nobody's ever seen before. These actually are scaled that day. They're curved, and they will throw some of these questions out. So how many have heard that not necessarily all of your questions on the MCAT will be scored? Have any of you heard that before? That they don't score everything? Yes. And it comes down to maybe they do, maybe they don't, to be honest. But in this case, I'm going to say that let's assume they score everything. They take all these individual curves and combine it. But that means about three-fourths of your test has already been given. So just know then that your MCAT is mostly recycled passages. The good news is it's a fair curve for everybody. So you get this new curve. The downside, and this is just dumb luck, is there a chance that they might take, let's say the curve is generous, and they give you the easiest questions, that's great, or if they take the hardest questions and the curve is harsh, they're messed up. And so what can happen is, have these 3 old curves, sometimes you might get screwed, sometimes you might be perfect, sometimes you might benefit. They hope that by taking three different exams, it balances out. But statistically speaking, 1 out of every, let's say, 27 times will be you get messed over, and the curve's way too hard. Or easy. So how many have heard of people that take the MCAT on 2 different days and get completely different scores? Like 8, 9, 10-point differential just on the day, based on the day they took it. It happens reasonably often. It's because of this. You can't do anything about it. You just have to just trust in the system. It'll work out. Okay. But the good news is that means anything that's been recycled. If we know anything about it, we can teach towards the concepts. Can't cover exactly what they have, what they gave, but we can cover the concepts. Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that happens. And I don't know, I mean, it's so painful to tell you, but I have a really strong feeling you were screwed over because of the randomness. I'm also going to tell you, this is probably salt in your wound, and I apologize for this, but I got an email from somebody yesterday who was enamored because her highest practice test score on any WMC exam, highest she ever got was a 510, she walked out with a 517. And it's just enamored, because she thought for sure she'd be repeating. She was in staying contact when she wanted to wait till her score came and decided she would repeat it. And unfortunately, she won the lottery, you lost the lottery. And it's a dumb luck aspect. And I don't know how to tell you other than, be kind to small animals, help old people, be nice, get your karma points up. That's all you can do for luck. Yes. So question is everybody taking the same exam? I'm going to say almost. Everybody has the same recycled passages. The new passages may fluctuate. I know. I'm so sorry that it's just hate to laugh at your pain, but yeah, and it's just honestly, I mean, just dumb friggin' luck. And you know, after all that studying, it's so frustrating to realize that, but do you realize the whole process is luck, and luck will come back around? Your personal statement is going to be read by one person most schools you apply to. If you happen to connect with that person, you're going to go far. If you, let's say you talk about growing in a tree house and they hate trees, you're screwed. I mean, some dumb thing like that can change everything. There's just so much luck. So, yep. Focus on the outcome. Be positive. Be grateful for everything, and life will go well. Okay. The one thing, just to make note of interest, 25% is random guessing, 1 out of 4, 100% getting it right, so they aim for bell curve. So they want 16.5% to get it right. So if the passage is really easy, questions are going to be hard. If the passage is really hard, the question has to be easy. If the topic's challenging, then they're going to water down the questions. So how many freak out at E&M? How many, for instance, electromagnetic is just like, I don't know, when I took physics, everything was going really well until I got to E&M, and I swear to God, I stopped all comprehension. The day E&M started, I went from understanding everything to understanding nothing, and that was my best grade. That quarter was my best physics grade. So how many have that same experience? You learned nothing, you felt like you learned nothing. We actually did well grade-wise. Because guess what? Everybody learned nothing. We all sort of went through the motions together. MCAT, the greatest probability of having an E&M passage would be electrophoresis. That's where it's going to show up. I mean, in all likelihood. And your intuition is going to get you more than your hand knowledge. Right-hand rule, you should know it. Don't overstress. Equally, if something's easy in school, it's going to be harder on the test, the questions. Okay. What do they ask? This is straight from their MCAT guide. This is one of the things I love, absolutely love about this. The WMC people list exactly what the question types are and the distribution. And to the best of my analysis, they are pretty friggin' spot on. That about 1 out of every 4 questions is just straight out regurgitation. You know it or you don't. So knowledge, scientific principles, it might just say memorized crud, by all means. But they also have these, how you reason your way through it. Why did this work the way it did? How does this work out? Those sorts of questions. If you took like a biochem or open class with a professor who was really into applying the information, you're probably going to be ready for this. But how many are just not fully aware of this? Why is there a polarizer over the laser lens? Or why do they move the target site 3 centimeters to the left? Those sorts of things about this sort of thing. Or why do they put technetium in there? Little things that you just figure out as you go, and these we just aren't ready for. This is where the greatest amount of preparation. And then stats questions, sometimes it's table reading, ratios, seeing a trend, graphing something. That's going to be fairly common. Graphs are prevalent on the test. So to get ready for this test, the instinct is I'm going to review a lot of material. Don't focus on reviewing, focus on improving a test taken. For anybody who's taken the MCAT, would you agree that there are times you can deduce a question without fully knowing it? So how many found yourself doing that from time to time? Getting a right answer, through process elimination, and getting rid of the things you knew just didn't fit. And you picked an answer that you didn't feel good about, but you knew it was the best answer. So yes, absolutely. Oh, nice. Got my first profanity in private. Hell yeah. Okay. So yep. It's just what happened. So deducing, working your way through things, got to be able to do it. Okay. Moving on. Practice exams are important to do. You do too few, you don't get in the right mindset. You do too many, and you don't have time to review them. Notice I'm suggesting about 4 days between sittings. So you take it, gives you 3 days to go over it, review the material, study some more, do another one, and so forth. There are 5 released WMC exams. Those are the most important to do. I'm a firm believer you want to start with their sample test because there is no score on it. So any score you're getting, you can't take 100% seriously, and that's fine. That's what you want. You want exposure. For anybody who took their first WMC exam, no matter what you're doing for it, how many of you found that it kind of shocked you that their questions were a little bit different than what you were used to? So anybody who, like when you first took your very first WMC, so yes. Yep. One of the things you will notice they do that's I think really cool is they don't give you a number in the question. You have to go and get it from a passage, either in a table, a graph, read through the experiment. You have to use the passage to get some of the givens. And they do that for different than anybody else. And you have to get exposed to that, get used to it. The other thing is, they take passages with, like OCHEM especially, tons of information. So did anybody ever get freaked out of looking at some mechanisms, some pathways, some synthesis, whatever it was? It had like 8 million different structures in it, and all these different steps. You get really freaked out and overwhelmed, and you have to go through that experience. That's what this is all about, getting used to how they freak you out. Then start into other exams. So I'm going to suggest ours because they come to the class. Notice I've omitted 1 and 3. It's because, well, in the last few years, people complain that 1 and 3 just are over the top, unrealistic, whatever it might be. So these are the ones that get the best reviews. I honestly think WMC is by far the best. I think anybody will tell you WMC, everybody else is a distant second. Got to do those exams, and I want you to save these for till the end because if you decide to postpone your MCAT, you don't want to waste these exams. Also, you want to do these towards the tail end when you're most prepared. You should. What I would do with 1 and 3 is I would break them into homework sets. So you have them, might as well do them. They're extra passages, and the CARS passages in our test are better than our book. The chem physics about the same. The bio passages are probably a little better in the exams. So use them like homework sets, but do these ones for time, I would say. So is it a good idea to save it? I think it is. And because by here you'll know if you're going to postpone. But if you're hell-bent, you're going to do it, then do it. Because how many of you are facing this situation? You're taking a test, you've studied for it before, you've already taken all the WMC exams, and you feel like your score isn't really realistic. And you end up stuck in that situation. A lot of people are in that situation. People who took it and have to repeat it, or people who were taking it and they bailed out last minute, they've already quote-unquote ruined their WMC. The good news, you haven't ruined them. Yeah, you've seen some of the questions before, you've gone over some of the questions before, and you can't trust the score you get from it, but you can sure trust the experience from it. And the thing I'm going to ask you, more than anybody, when you review this, start figuring out how can we change the question? What else could they ask? Start thinking beyond the scope of that practice test and more into, okay, you're a test writer, and here's why I think this is helpful. If you truly were hired as a test writer, these are the things they give you. Not ours, I found that accidentally, but the WMC materials, the practice test, the section banks, the QPACs, they give these to you as examples of what the test should look like. So what are the odds if you're a test writer, you kind of mimic what you see here?
by all means.
So
even some of the passages that will be on the test, they might be on different subjects, but they're going to be formatted the same way. So starting to think like, what can they do different on these questions is thinking the same way somebody who's writing your test is thinking.
Yeah, I will believe it when I see it.
WMC has been saying they're going to release stuff. They're notorious for saying it, and it ends up getting delayed. COVID is obviously a pretty good reason for it being delayed. But that fifth exam, that quote-unquote fifth exam that was supposed to come out a couple years ago, sort of fell by the wayside. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully that banner is right, but it might just be another 100 questions or something. So I'm not gonna hold my breath and think that it's going to be a full-length test. But yeah, see what it is. And the good news is, yeah, it's something you haven't seen before, but it's still, even if you've seen it before, it's still good to do double AMC. Still works out. Okay. How do you prepare? Develop good habits. This is, if you take nothing else from this today, I want this to be important to you. That same analogy I make to dance, sports, martial arts, whatever you did, when you trained and learned these things. How many like for dance? Anybody learning to dance? How many of you went really slow, like went slow motion, 16 steps at a time, learned the steps, add another 16, and then got faster with time? Yeah. So actually. Q-packs? I would start doing Q-packs when I've done about two-thirds of the phase 3, so I'm about two-thirds done the homework. Maybe 6 weeks to 8 weeks before your test, I want to start doing Q-packs and the section banks. And then the exam, what they give you. And I apologize that I haven't read the room. I'll remind me tomorrow before lecture, I'll show you what the thing looks like. But they give you an 8.5, or I'm sorry, not 8.5, it's 14 by 11 legal size graph paper. Some centers is yellow, some centers is white. It's laminated, and it's called a wet erase pen. So it's not like a dry erase board anymore. It's a wet erase. So it's a piece of laminated plastic with graph paper on it. You write on that, and you get 4 pages front and back, so 8 pages to write on. They keep it. They're just going to wipe it down and use it again. But it's a Statler pen. And email me and I give you the exact information on it. But you write on that. And for people to think that before, how many of you had yellow and how many had white? I'm just curious for the scratch pad. And just ask us. So white. Oh, interesting. Okay. So. The pens. Okay. Here's the trick. The pens are terrible. Lift your thumb and finger. This is really good COVID advice. But lift your fingers and pinch the tip. Get it a little bit wet, and they will work wonderfully. They dry out quickly. That's the problem. And in an air-conditioned environment, they're going to dry even faster. But if you wet the tip, they work, and then flip the tip a little bit, wave the pen back and forth so you centrifuge the ink out to the tip, and it'll work better. But yeah, so did you have problems where it started right and then went out, and right went out? Yep. Wet the tip. It'll help immensely. It's disgusting. It's COVID unfriendly, and it'll work. So. Yeah. They're terrible. I don't know. You can't erase unless you spit on it, which is so utterly gross. But yeah. Okay then. I don't know about the yellow. Interesting. I don't know. So good question is there a way to get pen and paper accommodations? I have not heard about it except one really extreme case, and that was an extremely vision impaired scenario where they actually had to get a large print version of a paper test. But if you're going to chase that down, you better beat on them, and it's going to take you probably 6 months to get a final decision. Okay. Good habits. Things I want all of you to do.
Like
with a dance, you start out really slow, methodical, and build up and build up, get faster and faster, better and better, so you can have it down pat. What I want you to do is treat this studying like it's the start of your learning some dance routine. I want you on homework, the first 3, 4, 5 sets of phase ones, to literally go there and rank the answers 1 through 4. What skills is helping? You cannot bring wipes. You can't bring anything into the center. You can't even bring tissue. So I mean, you're not going to get to erase. Don't plan on erasing. Okay. How many do process elimination? Get rid of 3 wrong answers? Oh, that is interesting. I was unaware that you could bring hand sanitizer now. That just adds a new wrinkle to it, because and I have a feeling that is that might be test center specific. And that's the thing. The rules, unfortunately, are set for everywhere, but they're enforced very selectively. Perfect example. Before the test starts, and depending on when you took it, how many of you were just like shock value? They sit you down, they hit go, and you're on your way. Anybody have a test center like that where you sat you down, hit go, and you had no say in the matter? Perfect. How many had time to sit and relax and get set up, and then it started? So look at just everybody read the chat responses. Is that insane that some people had time, some people didn't? Yeah. So you had a nice time pocket to put you on a prep one. Other centers, they just started and said, you're on your way, go. It is so inconsistent how they do this. Oh, they have a locker. When you first go in, you actually go into the waiting room, a little foyer. They give you a locker or a cubby or something like that, and then you go into the test. Whatever you're wearing, you can't even take your jacket off. You have to hit a button, and they have to come in and take your jacket before you put it in your thing. Yeah, can you cross by after licking the pen? Yeah. I don't even. You know what? I don't even want to go into some of the disgusting things you can do to erase it. I don't suggest any names, but I'm sure all of you are thinking ways to do it. Anyway, just the moral to the story. What I was trying to say is, how many have a plan to write stuff down before the test? Yep. So Michaela, were you able to do that just fine? Were you able to spend that 5-minute time to sit and write down a few things on your thing, like brain dump, memory dump? It's a great thing to do for helping with your confidence. It is an amazing thing. Okay. There's no rule against doing it beforehand, but some centers they'll crack down and say you can't because you can't do it for some of the other tests, the GMAT or the GRE. And so they don't know what the rules is with regard to the MCAT. Other centers, people did it with no problem. So did any of you write stuff down before the test on your white or yellow pad? Yes. One person did it fine. Yeah. Yep. So there you go. So every single, notice how the inconsistency, the feedback we're getting from people to different centers, there's no uniform rules. So push a limit, and if they say no, they say no. Yes. Tiffany's words are gold. Go to your test center and know where to park, know what the center's going to be like. And if they're kind enough, just say, hey, what kind of scratch pad? How does it work? Anything you find out ahead of time, the more you know about your event, the better. So I can't tell you what's going to happen at your center because, unfortunately, as we're now learning, centers are inconsistent. The other thing you do, read on Yelp. Yep. Try the same test center, or better yet, if you haven't tested before, find a center where you have a friend you can trust that went there and find out exactly what the details are. Okay, did it feel like you were going to prison? Did you feel very much like you were being sent off to prison the way they treated you? It's somewhere between a horrible day at the airport or just being admitted to prison. Oh my God, no, are you serious? I mean, I'm waiting for the horror stories, but yeah, it's just, but aggressively proctored is the perfect way to put it. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's just they enforce whatever rules they feel like enforcing, and you're just going through the motions. You're not going to say it's not the day you feel like fighting. So all I can say is put up with whatever you have to, and try to understand the experience as best you can. Know what you're going to get, but don't freak out too much. Just be ready for anything. Okay. Back to this homework. Rank your answer choices. This is one of the things I want to spend more time. I want to actually blow everything else off and talk about this real quickly, but I want you early on to get into this excellent habit. I want you to not answer a question right away. I'm going to read the question. Once you've read the question, look at choice A and decide, is it definitely true? Probably true. Definitely false. Probably false. I'm not sure. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say choice A. I read it. Oh, definitely true. I think it's true. No, that one's false. I'm pretty sure it's definitely false. And that one, I think it's true. What's the best answer? Why C? It's different. It reminded me that hey, that was a not question. All the following are true except which of the following was not valid. I tricked you, I screwed you, so I apologize in advance. But when you start getting in the habit of reading, evaluating, and then choosing, is that a really good way to recognize things different? Then go back to double check the question like, oh, it's a not question, it's an accept question. And the other thing it does is this. False. False, question mark. What's the best answer? How many are going to feel really unnerved picking question marks that you're unsure of? How many just know emotionally that's going to wreak havoc on your soul? It does. It is by far the hardest thing you have to get used to. Making a decision that you don't feel good about never is going to rest well with you when you're going to be haunted. The sooner you get in the habit of doing this and make the best choice, accept the following. You're not looking for a right answer, you're looking for a best answer. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes not so easy. So all I can tell you is that you really need to get in, just used to this, making good decisions. This is where you make the biggest gain in your first month, getting good at how you analyze multiple choice questions. And I mean, how many like me tend to miss the not or accept questions? You remember it, you read it, everything's fine, but by the third answer choice, you've read so much answer choice information, you forgot it's a not question. I mean, that happens to me far more than I like to admit. It's kind of embarrassing. This kind of makes you do that. You know, there's some analogies I love, but I gotta admit, I'm not really familiar with the stress of buying one pair of shoes. Do you mind? The person just typed them in. Do you mind if I quote you on that one? Because that is so. I love that. Okay. Somebody private the message. It works for me on paper, but my whole test strategy goes to shit for computer exam. How many realize that's true? It's so different on paper what you do, and not just computer, but just the stress of the real test. The advice: keep doing this so it becomes kind of a mental reflex. So how many, especially if you train to be a first responder, how many of you in your training we're taught it's going to be stressful, some crazy things are going to happen, and you just have to rely on your training. So I'm telling you, I feel unbelievably lucky because through a friend, I've been able to meet and actually listen to, talk with, spend time with somebody who just this last Olympics coached our first gold medal in this sport ever. He's a gold medal winner himself as a player. And just listen to him. And the cool thing is, his dad's a doctor. He was actually a pre-med at UCLA, well, he was kinesiology going on pre-med. His roommate was pre-med. Very fully aware of this, and had this just great perspective that I think is so useful for MCAT studying, just life in general. And he said, do not look for the magic that's going to make you suddenly feel really good about things. Instead, embrace the entire situation and make the best of it. So in other words, he said, like, the second time when we were going to try to repeat as a gold medal winner, when he won in '84, when he was up for it in '88, he said, before this, he was sick. He wanted to throw up, he didn't want to show up, he wanted to hide in the corner, ball up, just go away. And he said he finally realized, after trying to find meditation and all these other things that are going to make him feel better, guess what? You don't feel better. That's exactly how you're going to feel, and that's how you're supposed to feel. That is your body saying, this is serious, and I'm ready for it.
So rather than run away from stress, try to hide the stress, suppress the stress, embrace the stress. Embrace this emotional, embrace all of it, and go into the test with the mindset that, everything I'm feeling, I'm supposed to feel. This is exactly what's supposed to happen. Thank you, body, for getting me peaked and ready to go. And I know it's a weird sort of speech, I've gone off on a tangent on this, but when you go through this, and like somebody has said, when you get to the test, on paper it's one thing, but suddenly on a computer and then the real thing, the world changes. So what? Go back to your training. Become a machine. His message was, once the game started, you were a point at a time, become a machine. You just respond to the situation. Don't get ahead of yourself. On this thing, one question at a time. Done with that question, move on next one, forget the previous one. You have to train for that mentality. You have to train to shut it out, and you have to train to accept. If anybody took the test, were you anxious, were you nervous, did you feel just I know, a ton of stress. Definitely. If you don't, you're not going to sleep all night before, so what? You're going to sleep well the whole week before, so you can afford one night of a little bit less sleep. You are going to be fine. Your body knows what to do. We were built to survive. Yeah, and that's the thing. You're going to be anxious this whole time. And eventually, this is going to sound really weird. The first 2 to 3 weeks, you're all going to feel behind, anxious, I'm never going to cut out all this. It's going to go away, not because it necessarily gets better, but because you adjust to it, accept it, and you make the best of it. That's what you have to do. Do not expect this to be an easy test. Expect it to be a doable test because you are pretty damn good at what you do. And you have this energy, you have this power to do really well. Tap into it. Your mindset is all you can change. You can't change the test, you can't change the circumstances, you can only change your mindset. So, let me erase this. Enjoy your homework. Do your notes after homework. And last but not least, I'm going to call this a note to future self. I want you to write a letter to future self. These are the things I want to look at the last 2 to 3 days before I go in. If there's any cool equation, any cool trick, any strategy you see, embrace it. So, do you get points for showing? You get partial credit and show your work, you get half credit. I think so, right? How many sign up for the partial credit in MCAT? None. Not at all. That'd be so awesome, but none at all. So you don't get any credit for showing your work. So therefore, what do you need to do? You need to rewrite your equations. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this. How many learned that resistors in parallel? Let's say 7 ohms and 3 ohms. How many learned one of our equivalent is 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2? Yeah, I'll go back to that in a second. How many learn this? So how many agree I could write 1/3 plus 1/7 and work the math out and solve it? That's perfect.
You could
do that.
Or you
can do
this
this suggestion.
Because you're not
Because
going
you're not going to get credit for showing your work. Let's rewrite this.
We're
We're
going
going
to
to
do
do
R2,
R2, R1 over this.
And
So
so
if
I've written
I've written it in the book
how
this
equation
equation works out.
Basically,
Basically, multiply
R2
R2 over
over
R2, sorry,
R1 over
R1 over
R1
R1 to get a common denominator,
and then
and I can flip it around, and I can come up with R1 times R2 over R1 plus R2.
Start
from my bad writing.
On
On
Keynote,
Keynote, it's so hard
with
with
this
this
pen,
so I apologize.
It's hard
to read.
I'll get better.
Tomorrow will get better.
But which is
Which
easier?
is easier, adding 1/3 to 1/7 to get a
number
and then
inverting it?
or
what is
what is
3
3 times 7?
21.
21.
What is 3
plus 7? 10? 21 over 10 equals 2.1.
How many
can do
3 times
3
7
times 7 over 3 plus 7? Much more easily than
1/3
1/3 plus 1/7.
So
how many find it much easier to do this
and not
make careless errors in this approach?
So
This is one of the things all the way back to this. Number 4 is one I want to make a big deal about. Then I'll go back to this in a second.
For
number 4,
keep
little things like this in mind.
Little
tricks here and there will save you a ton of time, and it's amazing how many times a circuit question shows up on the MCAT. For whatever reason, it's an easy freestanding one.
The thin
length equation
with a
focus, object, and
image
positions.
Same
sort of thing. Rewrite that one. Okay.
And
excellent question.
Everybody
should always ask this.
Does it work
for more than 2?
Not
that well.
You can't just
do
product
bulk through sum. That doesn't work.
You get
R1, 2.
So
let's say I have 3, 7, and 9.
3 and
7 is 2.1. Then I do 2.1 times 9 over 2 plus 9.
Meaning I
need to do it twice.
Do it for these two,
get a collective, and then do it for the third one. Which means does this trick become kind of useless when you hit about 4 or 5 or 6 parallel? Useless trick.
Useful
for 2.
Kind
of useful for 3.
Not so
helpful for 4. Okay.
Going
back to this,
somebody asked
about the homework phases. I'm going to go into that in a second. But
the key
thing is,
you
learn most of your stuff.
You learn
it in class, or you learn it after you do homework and realize, oh shoot, I need to study this more. Homework.
Do most of your note taking,
do everything you want to do after homework.
Don't
worry too much about getting stuff from reading or lecture. That's wasted energy. Do it from homework. Okay.
Last couple things, and then we can do a couple
sample questions.
Phase
1, you want to do it right after lecture. This is about knocking things home. I can only speak with certainty towards the GChem and physics and OChem books. I spent way more time than anyone should trying to figure out what passages to put where. Sometimes it worked perfectly, sometimes not super pleased with how I aligned it. But these are more just straight, you know what you don't, learn it, go over it. You're not going to grow much in terms of MCAT preparation. You're going to just grow in terms of remembering things. Second one, this becomes a little more important. Time is key. Anybody can do well in MCAT if they can take it over 4, 5, 6, 7 days. It's doing it in time constraints that becomes the challenge. So these passages have a little more information process, the questions are a little more wordy. It's going to be a challenge. You're going to be stressed for time. It's learning to cope with that anxiety. In phase 3, in OChem there's a true phase 3. In GChem and physics, I practice tests in the back of the book. They integrate a lot of things. These, for instance, in physics, you're going to have about 10, maybe 20% of the questions in your phase 3s will come from bio, GChem, and OChem. They're going to cover other areas, and things should be integrated together. So, if cardiac output increases, what do we expect to happen for the volume flow rate? So it's kind of physio, it's kind of physics. So we'll mix those together. What is the most important of all 3 of these, would you say?
Three is
the most
MCAT
MCAT realistic.
And
excellent question.
So
will I give you a list of when to do these? Not at all, because I really apologize for this, but everyone who's taking it on a different day, and every one of you has your own personalized needs.
So the
So the concept of a one-size-fits-all master plan is just not feasible. Every one of you has different strengths and weaknesses. So here's what I want you to be completely honest with yourself before you start to schedule. If you know something like conversation motion really well, maybe just do phase 3, or maybe phase 2 and phase 3. Or something like electrochemistry, which is a really tough subject. Usually it's glossed over in school. Do 1, 2, and 3 at exact times. I do like that. So not so much time. Each one will say specifically how much time. So this will say for these 25 questions, you get 32 minutes, meaning finish it in the allotted time and review it. But I love your 1.5 hours. Here's what I hope all of you do as just a study plan. I want you to every week you do 24 1.5 hour blocks. You can set it up any way you want, but I'll do loosely side, but for a week, every single week, 24 1.5 hour study blocks. It could be 1.5 hours reading a chapter, reviewing it, and making notes. Don't go over an hour and a half. Why? The MCAT's only an hour and a half, and you start to lose it. This phase 1 should take hour and a half to do it and review it. Phase 2, an hour and a half to do it, review it. Phase 3, an hour and a half to do it, review it. And you can do 4 a day, have a day off every week. You can do like a 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, and spaces out. You can do whatever way you want to do it. But I would be careful. Scheduling a day off can be really dangerous because you'll fall behind and you'll use that as a catch-up day. Also, not taking a day off can be dangerous because you get messed up. Be very general. Plan to do 24 a week and help you get it done. Going back to this, I don't ever say on a daily basis because every day is different. But based on this approach, 36 hours per week should be the first half of your studies. And then it comes down to practice test and it's going to kick out. Reality is it's going to be more than that. But you need to figure out how to do this 24 1.5 hours. Because how many of you are working full time in school? You have all this other stuff going on. You have to work around it. So don't schedule on a daily basis. Once a week, set up how are you going to get these 24 done because your week is going to be flexible. Yeah. And the thing is, everybody's in that. Where do I find time? Where do I squeeze time out of my day? How many do you believe, whatever your life is right now, you could find 36 hours and another 8 in class? Could you realistically find 44 hours on top of what you're doing right now? You have to. You have to find it somewhere. If you're working full time and you don't have it, then you reduce this down and take the test a little bit later. Yes. I think that on certain days you should start with the morning thing and finish with the afternoon, or the final section. That really does add to it. And then loosening time, meaning you don't have a lot of time, but if you are gonna like let's say you're 5 minutes behind pace, don't race through these. Finish 5 minutes late, meaning try to finish on time. Don't if you're a minute or two over, 3 minutes over, don't freak out. Don't lose the quality in the interest of time. But don't try like if you're going to be half hour overtime, don't do that. But don't like if you're a little bit over, don't worry. That's how you might lose it. Yep. It does not include class time. So 36 plus about 8 for class time. So it's a hefty week. I mean, it's just lots and lots of information. I mean, that's the thing that you just have to realize. It's just there's just so much to do. But you'll do it. It sounds intense now. For anybody who has studied for this MCAT before, do you agree after a little bit of time you just sort of fall in place.
It does
It does not
not
include class time. Yeah.
After
After a while, it becomes what it is.
And it's
And it's like anything. The first 2 weeks are going to be screwy and hellacious, and you're going to hate it. And then it's just going to sort of become your routine. It's going to be fine.
So
as best I can say it is, be anxious and nervous now, but when you get into it, it'll get better. Okay. Other thing, tomorrow I'll be much better about this, but I will give you time to take screenshots, and I'll be much better about this. Also, these aren't slides, this is an animating program. That's why you'll notice the handout I sent out. A couple years ago, the advice from people was, if you can't do slides, that's fine. Just incorporate the key things into a PDF document so we can use Notability or OneNote or something. So you notice some of these are in OneNote, which you can screenshot add it in here, that's fine. Okay, somebody's brought something up, and this is really sweet. So, you mind if I quote you? This person is private. Okay. So I think one of my biggest weaknesses is that I'm definitely motivated the first 2 weeks, and as it settles after that, but then I tend to teeter off. That's why I'm approaching this from a regimen idea seems like a better plan, better idea. I totally agree with it. I completely agree that what you need to do is have flexibility. That some weeks are going to be like heavy in the front, heavy in the back, heavy in the middle, or even space or whatever. But also realize, are you going to have a burnout days? Are there going to be days you just need to take a day off? All the way back to a statement made earlier. Trust your body. When the anxiety and stress is up, that's fine. That's what your body's doing to get you ready. But in the same sense, when your body says, I can't do this today. I need a day off. I need to go do something else. I need to go see a movie. I need to do something. Listen to it as well. How many believe the body is really well built, knows what it's doing? It does. So preparation tips. Last the do's and don'ts. I want to qualify these, but these are the 4 big things I think. Office hours. So yeah, actually, it's very challenging I'm going to have with my office hours, but for questions you missed, in theory, my office hours are minimal right now, and part of it was just trying to figure out how, honestly, didn't realize the class size was going to get as big as it is, and add more office hours. And then I think a few other people will hopefully be introducing their office hours this week. And then okay. Yeah, that's awesome. And Caleb, do you mind also putting in Discord and those sorts of things? Just really appreciate it. And again, I'm asking guys to help each other out. And if you do it, it's just amazing how well this whole experience works. Okay, do's and don'ts. I want to qualify this a little bit. Start passage early. One of the big mistakes people make is they don't apply it early on. Number two, keyword here, lots of flashcards. Flashcards are helpful, don't make too many of them. When come to lectures, prepared as you can, but do not overdo this. Let semi-prepared means you know what the topic's going to be, you're familiar with terminology, but you haven't fully reviewed it. Hours on videos, you need some videos, but not too much. Use only what you need. But okay. Start early, you learn best in testing, past discovery material, definitely true. Flashcards give you a false sense of security, and they make you tunnel vision on just what the flashcards are there, without realizing there's lots of other information. When you finish all the flashcards, you feel complete. You may not be complete. That said, I want you to emphasize this word. Make some flashcards, especially for psych-social, then it becomes a do. How many have heard of Anki? I'm assuming most of you. There's some good Anki decks out there, and I want to caution you on diving too much into them. Miles Down gets good feedback. Jack Sparrow, there's a few of these that are really good decks, really well written, really well designed. But don't use all of them. Go through one time, handpick the things, stuff you're not sure about, put it in, and always add your own cards. always make your own cards in your deck because you want to study what you need, not what Jack Sparrow needed. Which sounded so funny to say that sentence. Coming lecture prepared means think about what's going to be said. For instance, tomorrow, amino acids, you should at least familiarize yourself with one-letter and three-letter codes for amino acids. Categorize them, what they are. Know what a protein is, know what a peptide bond is. Think about these things. Inventory. Don't read inventory. Think in your mind what everything is. You have the handout ahead of time so you can make an educated guess on what things are. Also, come to lecture having already started taking notes. Come in at the start of lecture, you already have a few things just written down, including the structure. Remember them all? Write them all down. Put them into your notes. You do not want to have quote-unquote lecture notes, you want to have topic notes. That means a little bit from the book, a little from lecture, a little bit from homework, a little bit from wherever else you get it. Last but not least, videos. Com videos are phenomenal, but they're so well polished that you get this sense of confidence. Have you ever watched a con video and felt like, that was good, I totally know that now? I remember doing that. I reviewed one really quickly because somebody also had a question. You did thought, oh, this is easy. Then they asked the question I wasn't ready for. And all that confidence plummeted down and realized con videos don't make you quiet. They're good for getting foundation, but don't overdo videos because they give you a false sense that you know. Also, they may not be exactly you have to fast forward, slow down. But use videos and use flashcards. Not a lot. Don't spend too many hours. So some hours useful, some becomes useful. Okay. Big thing you want to do. Spend so much time on this. You really want to get this part. I don't know. How many have an opinion on that one? Because I've heard when you write it out, you remember it better. But when it's digital, you can make corrections to it. I think it's both. Yeah, if it's been a long time since you've seen it, then skim before class. Make your calls. Yeah, I agree with Jonathan's feedback. Yeah, and then maybe write it out, finger paint it, or I'm telling you, I've fallen in love with my iPencil. I'm about turning a commercial for all things Apple, and I don't want to do that, but it's been great. So it's a good combination. So which chapter you need to preview for tomorrow? Excellent question. Where did you find this out? That handout that I sent, I uploaded it in the chat before we started and also emailed it to everybody. Open up tomorrow's amino acids, and on the very first page it'll show the outline of the lecture, and then the section that it's based on. So it'll say book 2 for OChem, pages 333 through 259, I think, like that. I don't remember the exact pages, but that'll tell you what it is. Yeah, Notability's got some really neat features, so take advantage of it. Okay. Next part. This is where I really hope you discover you are pretty damn good at what you do. So what I want to do is I want to talk about school first, and then figure out. Yeah, good notes, and forget Notability, good notes, and some of the other programs. They're all excellent in certain ways. They all have what you need. When you took OChem, did you ever have this reaction? Yeah, carboxylic acid, that you substitute something to replace it. You turn it into an ester, or an acid halide with SOCO2 or something. Somebody have definitely seen substitution of whatever it is in a carbonate. Is that substitution of carbonyl, is that popped up in open travels? No doubt. You had a professor that probably asked this. Predict the product of that reaction. How many had that professor that said, basically together what you get? Perfect? How many had this professor that said this? They mixed that up a little bit. Instead of saying what you get when you add those, they made it synthesis. What do I need to add to this to get this? No doubt about it. OChem definitely has those questions. And then how many had the step-by-step show how this turns into this? The mechanism. So every professor makes you memorize. You have to use logic.
And as
And as it works out,
MCAT
MCAT doesn't care about any of that.
You don't
You
have
don't have to know everything in detail. You're going to have some predictive product that's going to be simplified. Instead, ask questions this way. All that study, all that memorization I get from OCHEM, and all of a sudden answers like this. So this is a spin-off of one thing they have in their section bank.
And
I want you to help me out what the heck this means.
There's a
There's a
couple
couple
words
words
in here I
I feel
feel
really
unnerved by.
unnerved by.
What is
What
a
is a
certification?
certification? You don't need to know that.
And
And number two, what's a radio label?
So
So certification, what does that mean?
It's
It's
taking
taking whatever the carbonyl compound is initially, turning it into an ester.
There's
There's
transit
verification where you go from one ester to another,
and
and then there's verification where you just go from a compound to an ester.
Okay,
Fair enough.
What is a
What is a
radio
radio
label?
label?
Don't know.
Don't know.
So, if I don't know, I
I
say,
say,
well, what is a
what is a
label?
label?
So is
So
it
is it
okay
okay
if I don't know? So what if I
So what
change
if I change
the
that
question?
question?
Which one
Which one should label?
Even though I
Even
didn't
though I
know
didn't know
what
what radio label
was,
was, we agreed on labeling H, C, and O and L. How do I label it now?
I
Am
mark
I
an
marking
atom?
atom?
Isotope.
Exactly.
And I make
And I
a
make a
specific
specific
isotope
isotope
that
that
maybe
maybe
it's
it's
radioactive.
So what this question is really getting at is not
do
you know these words,
but
can you like
figure out
transcribe what they said or somehow transfer it into your way of thinking, figure out what they're asking. So basically, you're asking is the mechanism this. Is this my nucleophile that attacks the carbon and takes out that? That's one possibility. Meaning, again, this is my nucleophile, this is my meeting group. Or is it this other one? It's my nucleophile, it's not that.
That's
Basically one of those two is the mechanisms.
Or
In OCHEM, a nucleophile attacks an electrophile inside of a leading group. That's just the way these things work. Okay? If I label this H, carboxylic acid,
where does it
end up? If I label it here,
it's
it's part of the water. I label here, it's part of the water.
Does that
help me to distinguish? Labeling that H, do I get a different result and decide which pathway it is? No. So that didn't help. That answer choice is gone. Okay? No problem. So let's consider the CH3 now. You see the C, here it ends up as the ester, here it ends up as the ester. Does that help me? Dang it, that one's out. Oh, the carbonyl group. Here's my O. Goes over here. Again, didn't help me. But if I label this O right here, in one case, if it's this mechanism, you agree that O is going to be part of the water. If I label this one, it's going to become kind of part of the ester. Meaning, if I isolate my product and I find the label is on it, this must be the mechanism. If I isolate the product and it has no label, this must be the mechanism. Does that question make sense? And you see how it's different from your typical OCHEM question? You're being asked about the exact same material. If you memorize the verification mechanism, would it have helped? So if you had this memorized exactly how the mechanism goes, you really wouldn't have made any difference. This is why memorization isn't as helpful as you may think it is. How many learn more going through this question and realizing it's figuring out what they're asking and then making some I guess big picture. Knowing the reaction was important. More important was figuring out how I deduce how it occurs. Not how does the mechanism go, but how do I prove it's how it goes. So as I step back and look at this, how many see this as kind of an interesting question, but it's going to take some time to get used to? And how many agree this is going to be a little bit of a challenge to get used to? Hopefully this is what you see. And I'm also hopeful this is that same experience that when you first look at doubling C materials,
and you
and
see
you see they word things a little bit differently,
it
takes a little bit of time to get used to them.
And so
So one thing is, I'm going to make a really big point in lectures I teach is always go over questions like this, thinking questions. Because how many once you see the answer, it makes sense, but how many would not have made connections because you haven't been exposed to this sort of question before?
I mean,
how many would agree with that? The more you know about the question type, the way they ask things, the better you do on those questions. So it's getting used to their style of questions. That is a major, capital and major part of doing well on the MCAT. Knowing material, awesome. You're going to feel confident, you're going to be able to recognize things in context, good. But far more important to recognize how they ask things.
Okay, so I want to do a couple more. I'm going to click. So if you want to screenshot it, click me in 3, 2, 1. Suspect? What I mean by usual suspect is how many people when you took OChem or biochem, the first time you introduced amino acids, probably both actually, did they either say what is the charge of the compound at certain pH, and say which way does it migrate in electrophoresis, what point does it migrate to, when it stops focusing, does it bind this column that's positively charged, does it elute from this column that's positively charged? How many had some question along those lines? Question of what is the charge? In biochem and OChem, by all means, tons of those questions. It's like the only questions they can generate. So I'm going to go to a limit. I'm going to tell you, you're definitely going to get a what is the charge question on the MCAT, probably multiple. Just easy to ask. So being pragmatic about it, I only care about a couple things. I care about the C terminal, spousal terminal, and N terminal. But then I also want to know that there's certain groups that have a certain charge. There's two amino acids that end in the word acid. What are they? Aspartic acid, glutamic acid. And by the way, do I need to know the one-letter code, three-letter code, or both? You've got to know both. Absolutely have to know both. Okay, it's absolutely essential. Okay. So this is aspartic acid, glutamic acid. And this is going to be a sexist statement, and I apologize in advance, but very useful. Occasional mnemonics will be not the most appropriate. But here's my question to you. When you think of somebody who's lying, I'm going to tell you, oh, I'm such a liar. In all honesty, do you picture somebody male or female in most cases? So if I say somebody's a liar, who lies more? Men or women? Male or female? Oh, no correct. So there you go. Men. I'll go with men as well. And you don't even be politically correct. It's already no. His lies are basic. Histidine, lysine, arginine are your base amino acid. His lies are basic. Lies are his. So you already have a mnemonic that life is good news. Lies are his. So there you go. So with this in mind, I know the following. I know there's two amino acids that have the word acid in it, so they can be acidic. There's two or three amino acids that are basic. Lies are basic. So I'm set. I'm ready to go. I know my change. So here are a couple things I need to do on this one. I need to focus on only seven things. Side chains, two acids, side chains, two bases. And in C terminals. Notice I have no cysteine in here because cysteine typically cross-links. And notice that I have no tyrosine because pH in physiological systems not going to get high enough to worry about it. So let's start with what does it mean to bind a cation exchange column? That means it binds a cation. Okay. So here's what we're going to figure out. What things are cation? The carboxyl terminal and the side chain of glutamic aspartic acid, when you deprotonate, become carboxylates, are negative. Basic ones, like the amino terminal and the side chains of these have nitrogens. When you protonate them, they are positive. So at 7.4, right here, on my line here, 7.4, when the pH is high. So if the pH is 7.4, it's higher than 2, higher than 4, higher than 6, and the pH is high, it get deprotonated. When the pH is low, 7.4 is lower than 9, 11, 12, protonated. So what I know then, the only ones I care about from this list, I know it's got to be positive, but more importantly, I only worry about D and E, their negatives, and K and R. I'm going to ignore the internal and C terminal because they cancel. But in this case, then, do I have any D's, E's, K's, or R's? So no, D, E, K, R, K. So if I go through this systematically, a D was a negative, E was negative, K was positive, R was positive, K was positive. So overall this is positive 1. Will that bind or remove from that column? Can they move? You sure? Gonna bind. Uh-oh. Bunch of things. So binding and counting exchange column. This one. Positive. So this one will in fact bind. On the other hand, let's do the second one. Again, D, E, K, and R. R, E, D, K. So plus, minus, overall 0, will bind or remove. Perfect. Okay. Next one. K, R, E, K, R, and D. Okay, so let's see. Plus, minus, plus. Overall, plus 2. Bind or remove. Perfect. Bind. Why do you say bind better? So interesting. Why bind better? Bigger negative. Perfect. Okay. It's going to come in handy. That's what I mean. So let's just go through this real quick. That's a D, E. There's only one, so minus 2. So this one would loot. So I have two little bind. So is there another part of the question? So I know which will bind. So A and C will both bind. But now the question is, second part of it, what does it mean highest concentration for loot? What's that mean? It means it's bound tightly or loosely? Highest concentration of salt means it's picking the one that's bound most tightly. Exactly. So which one's going to bind the column more tightly? Plus 2 or plus 1?
Plus 2.
Plus 2. Exactly. So best answer? Choice C. How many agree this is a tough question? By the way, I think it's really tough question. Yes. Yep. So exactly. So I'm introducing this one just to introduce it now. But this is going to show up on tomorrow's lecture. This is actually going to be a major part of tomorrow's lecture. So. Yeah. And the thing is, and this is what I hope most of you point out. It's like if you feel lost or whatever, bring it up because you're emotionally going to help everything. Yeah. Writing on it is key. And the question, do I have a list of recommended acronyms? I will. So towards the end, I will introduce that. But I think along the way, there's some suggestions that. So sorry. I would keep
an ongoing list added to things I know later.
But how many
lies are his?
Pretty
Pretty important.
They
will not give you PK values. So I'll get back to the listing why it doesn't matter in a second, but gotta memorize these. Here's why. If they have an exact number of precise questions, they're going to give you precise numbers. They are excellent. The MCAT is excellent about not only giving information, but giving you too much. But in general, you have to know the Cabral terminal 2 to 3 and terminal 9 to 10, and that these are approximate, not exact. Don't memorize exact numbers because what you learned in one textbook with one professor might be different than what the MCAT test writer has. Only by a little bit, but I say this from experience. Having written these, the chem and physics books, the majority of them physics, do you believe I got these numbers all from my own original research, or do you think I used other resources to get these numbers? Honest answer? Other resources. Yeah, totally in my head. I just know it. So other resources. So if I use one resource, it's called plagiarism. If I use two or more, it's called research. Beautiful. I love how this works. So I did quote unquote research. I plagiarized from multiple books. But what really surprised me is books had different numbers. Two different textbooks never ever had the same set of numbers. And I realized is everybody's plagiarizing everybody, including your professors. We're all lying to you about exact numbers. None of us know exact numbers, but we're close. So whatever number you memorize for a class, I guarantee it's close, but maybe not perfect. Know it in general. Nope. These are the ones you have to know. This is a list you have to know. So what I really need to know about amino acids, memorize the 20. But more important, this table. How many found this table to be helpful on this question? I'm going to read this table is actually pretty useful in this question. Guess what I want you to do for tomorrow's lecture. The reason I want to throw this question in here, we are going to do this table about 4 or 5 times tomorrow. So why do you need it? So Sophie, tell me why you don't need it, because you're at a pretty good point if you're saying that. And I also want to ask, is your background that you've done enough questions that this has become... Yeah. So basically, writing chart down is memorizing it. Here's what I'm going to say, and this is that concept of if a teacher lets you have a cheat sheet for a midterm or final, how many write out all those equations, you're so busy writing out and just end up remembering it. That's what I'm assuming that's what's going on. If you've done enough of these numbers just sort of get programmed in your head. Exactly. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make this table for the first bit of homework for phase 1. I want you to use it so much that it becomes routine and it just sort of gets programmed in your head. So I'm going to change and say, no, it's not that you don't need it, it's that you've done enough of these that you already have this so ingrained in your mind that it's already there. You don't need to write it out, you have done it enough times. And hopefully everybody else gets there. And that's just so perfect. Mr. Miyagi. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. It was a remake. That's right. I was going to say, that was when I was a kid. Yeah, making strange movie references always a good thing. Okay. I'm gonna click. Gonna be one more question and then just summarize everything. But I'm gonna click in 3, 2, 1, and that topic will pop up again tomorrow. One last one I want to throw, and that is table reading. I want to ask you a weird sort of question, but it's a little personal. Hopefully you're done by this. But how many of you have ever tasted a soda? I can't believe I said that. Soda shaming is your generation. How many of you have ever had a soda? Tasted it. Moon Public's a one. One person. Excellent. For those of you who've had a soda, how many of you ever noticed that you leave it for too long, it tastes different? And maybe in the 90s. Yeah, it was very popular back then. Why? Why does it taste different? So I'm going to give you 2 theories, and I want you to tell me which one sounds reasonable. Theory number 1. CO2 has a very distinct flavor, and when it goes flat, CO2 escapes, and you don't get that flavor anymore. And you can totally taste CO2. Lick the air and you totally taste it. Or number 2, the CO2, when it dissolves into the solution, forms carbonic acid and makes pK very low.
And as the
And as the
CO2
CO2
leaves,
leaves,
the pH
the pH
goes back up, kind of like blood. Is it true
Is it
that
true that
arterial blood,
and
venous blood have a different pH?
However, venous blood is rich in CO2, so
carbonic acid makes pH a little bit
lower
lower,
around
around
7.2.
7.2. It's what causes the release of O2, in fact, or helps with that process. Somebody would agree with that the pH changes. Put CO2 in, pH goes down. Take it out, pH goes back up. Okay? So, do you believe CO2 has a flavor, or do you believe CO2 suppresses certain taste buds?
Suppresses the taste buds, meaning lemon lime soda,
you
you can't tell whether it's flat or not because
it's not going
it's
to
not going to suppress the major taste bud.
But you
But
read,
it
suppresses
suppresses salty maybe a little bit, but doesn't suppress sweet.
So a couple questions asked. According to this table, what are our most sensitive taste buds? Salty, sweet, or bitter? Salty and sweet have very high numbers, meaning they're not very sensitive at all. We have to douse. That's what puts salt and sugar in our food. Bitters are most sensitive. Why would having bitter be the most sensitive be good for us? Poison. Avoid spoiled food, avoids poison. Perfect. Wide pH range doesn't get suppressed. And very sensitive. Okay. Equally, you read salty and sweet, can we suppress them pretty easily? This is probably why we oversalt and over sweet. Properly. Okay. The question at hand. Can you figure out these numbers? So I'll give you about 30 seconds to tinker with this and tell me what the right answer is. Okay, so for this one, is 151 parts per thousand, 151, is that higher or lower than the threshold? Well beyond. Potassium. Two. It's definitely less than 101. Am I done at this point? So I taste sweet. Definitely salty won't. So I might best answer right there. Glutamate, if I want to go through 0.0825, it's going to be higher than 0.007. And then benzophenone 0.088, it's going to be higher than 0.008. So how many agree the tricky thing on this one was the accept? So hopefully that seems okay. I'm kind of half concluded. I'm going to turbo push. Oh yes, this table would come in a passage. Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, they will give you multiple passages, multiple information. I'm sorry. No, do not memorize anything. And I should qualify this. In the books, you're going to run into some lengthy tables. Do not memorize everything. Okay. So one is skipping into that. I'm going to actually, I apologize, I'm going to exit out and re-enter real quick. Okay. You know, it's like when you say those words, like those word-defying things you say wrong. Along those same lines, way too much information. But how many have sent a spell-corrected text that said very much not what you wanted it to say? Is that experience we probably all had? Speaking of mortifying thing.
Yeah. So
for all
all those. So
you
get over it somehow.
A few quick
rules
for
for
success.
success. Number one,
avoid
careless mistakes.
So what that
means basically,
you're gonna
make some,
learn to
catch them.
And I
want to do
something.
something. This comes out of a psych experiment.
So I
just want you to. Sorry, but
when to
read that to me.
And how many reads as Paris in the spring? So how many read that as Paris in the spring? You mean with my bad writing, can you see it clearly? Okay, fair enough. Now I want you to read it backwards. How many suddenly see the reading it backwards? How many didn't see it the first time, but now you see it reading it backwards? Do you catch mistakes when you change your pattern? The whole point of this is how many caught it by scanning in a different direction than you normally do. Go into Gestalt principle, pop up in psych lecture, but basically, we automatically correct things. Anybody get that email where every word has a right first letter, but spelling errors in between? We can totally read it. We correct things in our mind. Awesome, except the downside is, does this lead to careless errors? Here's what I want you to do from this point on. When you go over your test, read backwards. So if you did A through D, when you did it, go D through A, reverse order. Yeah, you read it faster and you're coherently right. That's actually fairly true too. But if you're looking for something in the passage, scan backwards. If you're trying to catch an error, read backwards. Do these things in a way to catch your careless mistakes. So how many when you look at this, like, that is so cool, and sometimes you think, damn, how did I miss that? It's so obvious when I see it now, but it's a pretty neat little psych experiment to say that we read what we want to read. So scan backwards, you'll be fine. Don't waste time. Do not second guess yourself too much. Don't reread things. Just make a choice, move on. It's rare that you're. How often? If you look at your history of test taking, how many find that you overthink more often or underthink more often? Which one are you more guilty of? Overthinking. So only two votes so far. Well, at least I know 100% overthink. We generally overthink. If you know that, then keep things simple. Don't try to make it more complex and try to pile more stuff on. Try to keep it as simple as possible. Make good decision. Yeah, there is at the end of the test. Oh my gosh. The finish line that just won't come syndrome. I remember honestly, this is something to train for. By the time I got to my last couple passages, I was so ready for it to be over. I said, you know, how bad could it be to see for everything? You got to run through the finish line. I mean, that's you are a finisher, thank goodness. Because I'm a cruiser. That person that gets past at the finish line, that would be me. Don't be them. Common mistakes. This last thing again, when it's got to be passages over video. Mnemonics and tricks. This is one that I think is so critical because on the test you're going to have to remember a lot of things. The more mnemonics, the better. But mnemonics that you will remember on the test. So I want you to try something. I want you to put your right hand in front of your screen, and I want you to do it in a way where you look your palms. So like this. Your thumb is here. There's your hand. And I want you to hold your fingers to match the OHs. So I want you to now take your index finger and point it this way, the way that's going. I want you to leave your middle finger to that way. I want you to change your ring finger to this direction. And I want you to change your pinky to this direction. So I'm going to have your hand out that way, where you have your thumb towards the carpineel, your index finger towards here, your middle finger this way. You are definitely flipping something off. Do not do this in public. Don't do this people don't like. But oh my gosh, does the hand gesture for flipping somebody off perfectly match glucose? How fitting is that? F glucose.
Okay.
Well, let's
see if that holds true
in
another structure.
So I want to number my carbon. So one I don't care about, but 2, 3, and 4 are here. I want you to rotate your hand, and now I want you to note that your middle finger is up. So left is up. Right is down. Right is down. So if you put your middle finger up, your index finger, and your ring finger down, and number 5 is over here. Is it also still flipping off of your hand rotated differently? This is going to be your mnemonic for remembering. If you match your fingers up to glucose, it'll flip it off. If you match your fingers to manos, it'll look like the gesture of making a gun with your hand. And ribose will be all right. So if you can match your fingers, will you remember these? Thumbs up for ribose. Ribose is all right. Exactly. But F glucose. And shoot manos. Fly off the back of your ship. Those are mnemonics. How many number one are going to bring their hand with them to this test? Everybody. And if you remember how to do this, it's great. Which hand are you using, by the way? Let me ask one last question. How many use your right hand? Perfect. You made a D sugar. If you use your left hand, what would you have done? You would have made an L sugar. Works out perfectly. So is this D or L glucose that I've drawn? D glucose because my right hand matches it. Are your right and left hand enantiomers of one another? Yes. Right and left hand are enantiomers of one another, which means our DNO glucose enantiomers of one another. Yes. Exactly. Perfect. So the thing that you have to note is that your hands match it, and then DNL or enantiomers of one another, you're set. Last but not least, you're either a doctor or you lose. D goes with R, that curl center here, L goes with S, just point of interest. But it's funny that it works this way. Works for everything but system. We'll do that. We'll talk about system tomorrow. Okay. Is it okay if I erase? Almost ready. 3, 2, 1, and clear. It's out. Last couple thoughts. Gotta practice some time conditions, MCAT's a time test, and you have to learn for answer explanations. How many learn more going over answers than you ever learned in school, video, reviewing anything? How many definitely learn from your mistakes? Or as you'll learn tomorrow from my mistakes. So my teaching style might end up being a little bit on the annoying side. And that's because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a ton of mistakes, and you're going to catch all my mistakes correct and wrong. And I want you to come on your toes and be ready to say, we'll wait. And sometimes I'm going to get it right, and you're going to say, oh, I guess I was right. But I want you to pay attention because that's where learning is going to come from. Office hours, I sent out an email, but I will send it again if you need me to. And I'll end up adding more and more office hours as we go. But these are the three things I write. There's some biochemistry that fits over in this fair game. These are just critical. When the time comes, I will have separate office hours to cover just double MC material because I don't want to spoil it for anything else. And then some test strategies. I don't know if the other instructors. This is going to sound terrible, but I can't even tell you right now what kind of strategies they'll employ because I honestly haven't seen a lot of them teach. I don't know. I know that was kind of the norm. So if they've all been trained up in the same setting, they'll teach the same way. But we'll know. Oh, I should convince them, and I hope that it will. But anyway, just to say those are my office hours and. So again, sorry, lectures tend to go a little bit long, but I'm glad because just you're engaged, and that's why they go long. So tomorrow. Office hours. Up to you. Honestly, I think I would count 1 hour block myself. But what you're going to find for most office hours, you're going to end up seeing other people's questions more than your own. So it's going to work out that way. You just have to, I don't know, just realize that you're going to probably watch 3 to 4 questions from one of your own. Yeah, everything is California time, just because I'm centered here. So I will try to do my best to always look PDT. So I think actually you were so right. I was about to say, I always write it, but you're so right. I did not. And in a few weeks, that'll be standard time, not the really matters, but yeah. And then just keep me appraised of what you can and cannot make in terms of time, because I will adjust accordingly. But anyway, come in as prepared as you possibly can for tomorrow. And prepared simply means have at least a page or half a page of things you thought about that topic in advance. Read what you need. I'm assuming our amino acids are pretty fresh in most of your minds. So got a no, got a yes. Okay. So it's all over the map. And then same link for tomorrow, and then it switches to Josh's link starting on Monday. But welcome to day one. I hope you walk away. And one of the things I hope that you got from this, how many were able to answer those questions, even though it didn't work? I mean, even though if you will, you didn't review it, you didn't know it, you didn't work through the information beforehand, but you were surprisingly able to get through them. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to quote you on that one as well, because this is true for everybody. How many last year was a lost year? Yeah, it definitely need more time. Practice is what holds it in. But I don't even know where to begin with that, because Zoom U. Yeah. And for those who went to private school, you paid $60,000 a year for your tuition to basically get online like private school. It's like, I mean, it is what it is. You just suck it up. Everybody when it applies, bring it up in a positive way. I want every one of you to just sit there and figure out what were 5 really positive things from this experience. Because who do you want to be around when you go to med school? Positive or negative people? Positive by far. So if you can look at this, and there were some positives. COVID did a few things in a positive way for us. If you can figure out what was positive, what made your life better, you'll be surprised how far that's going to go. Because they're going to hear so many excuses. So anyway, if you have a couple questions, please ask. Otherwise, we're all done. So I'm looking at the numbers. So if you're sitting here thinking, like, is it all over? It is actually over some. Okay, so in general, the question is, what do I recommend for people who feel they don't have a good background? I think in what's terrible, my answer would have been come to lecture twice. That always worked. Isn't an option now, and kind of pissed off about that there's only one lecture. But I think office hours and reach out to your take advantage of your teachers far more than normal, so you can, especially if it's something you know is going to go well, ask in advance. Video a little bit will help, but I think honestly the whole reason for this class is try to reach out to people. Josh has posted his 200 plus office hours, so I'm sure hopeful that it ends up adding up that much. Make sure it is. Make sure like if there's a lecture that you can meet with a teacher and say, hey, can you please just go over this with me? And I know what I do is, like, when that used to happen, I wouldn't do it for just one person, but if like 3 or 4 people had asked, I'd wait till they all take the time to do it. So I'll try to do some mop-up, stuff like that, but I think just finding that combination of office hours and just coming in as prepared with what you don't know, like know what you don't know, kind of thing might help. Yeah, I'll go over that question. Yeah, so the question one, I'll go back to that one again. And
Todd, may I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
For the 36 hours is freaking me out a bit, but are we supposed to be, or is it recommended that we do the 36 hours up until test day? Or how would it be like the last 30 days?
Oh, yes. So your last, this is basically 36 until you get through all the books.
Okay.
Then your whole life becomes wacky, totally changes, because you'll do a full-length test one day, and that's going to take taking it, going over all that, that's going to eat up 9 hours a day. Next thing you're only doing 2 or 3 when you review it, and up to about 3 days before, 4 days before, and then you want to shift into what are all the things that are going to make me feel more comfortable on test day. Review your notes. Read that list of things you sent to yourself. The last 2 days are if you're anxious, it could be 15 hours a day studying. If you're calm and you're feeling good, it could be 1 to 2 hours. So it's such a moving target, but the 36 should have qualified that, just until you finish the books. And then you completely shift your mindset.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's so nerve-wracking the first day, but it will get better. Yeah. So somebody mentioned they've never taken physics before. I would recommend first don't get stressed about it, because guess what? For anybody who's taken college physics and MCAT, did it help you? Generally not that much. The MCAT physics is so much closer to high school physics than it ever is even close to math-based college physics. So I'm not saying you've never seen this before. There's a lot of work to be done, but don't stress about it. I mean, I wouldn't say that about too many other subjects, but I'll tell you right now, there were some things on like our tests on MCAT that I never had because my physics since I didn't have to take them, and I still did well. You can self-teach a lot of this stuff. I mean, I don't know. It would be really hard to self-teach the rest of the stuff. Like in my case, sound, light, and optics. Self-taught was just fine. And then when you sit for the MCAT, write the MCAT, really is up to you, but I would say January would probably be ideal class-wise. Wait until March, you run the risk of forgetting things, but if you have a really tight schedule, don't have the time to fully study, then I would recommend March based on your life. So I wouldn't pick a test date based on a class. I would pick January or March based on the class. But I would not I wouldn't make a decision between January and March based on that. Based on lifestyle, like how busy you are. Oh yeah. So the no lecture recording here, but this is where I want you guys to just share with each other. Anybody records, and you don't mind putting it up in Discord. And you gotta use Snagit or some program like that. We don't allow for legal reasons, we don't allow recording. That's because nobody sign up on the waiver to allow it. But it does happen, and I have maybe seen somebody post it at Discord for a few days and bring it back down, take it down a little bit after that. But I mean, figure that out between you guys. It would be the best advice. But I know the Zoom settings for our accounts are on non-recording. If you have a non-Zoom way to do it, it may be available. So I hate being that way. We're just covering our legal butt. I never want to answer that yes or no. I'm not going to say whether I'm cool or not cool with it. I think it's totally illegal and horrible and rotten, and a lot of people did it last time. So I think that probably is. Yeah, this is terrible. I'm going to be one of those like a politician stand up and hypocritically say that it's terrible. Don't ever do it. But yeah, it happens. So if you're rescheduling, and by the way, there is no February exam, by the way, it's just January and then March. So unfortunately, the test dates are in the hand that I sent out. If you're aiming for January and you're just not feeling ready,
it's going
it's
to
going
be
to be
really,
really hard
to
to
reschedule
for
March
because
basically those dates still up.
Probably looking at April realistically.
And you
reschedule. They're generally pretty good about rescheduling. It's going to cost you.
It was
It was $75 last year, and I
haven't
haven't
looked
looked
at the price this year, but it's going to cost you money to reschedule anything and everything.
And
worry about it when the time comes.
On day one, don't worry about rescheduling yet.
Worry about getting ready for that 100%. Go all in. And then as you go, make those decisions as they need to be made. But don't preemptively do it. Because it ends up being one of those things like, how many of you ever contemplated dropping a class? Like week
one
of school,
and you end up
think
thinking,
about,
maybe I'm going to drop this class.
How often do
How
you
you
end
end
up
up dropping it? You fulfill your own
destiny.
Oh, really? You usually know. That is amazing. Okay. Because I always ended up, if I thought, oh, maybe I should drop this class, I'd hang on for 2 weeks, and like in full, I'd waste 2 weeks, and I ended up dropping it anyway, right before the deadline. So know where you're going to be, and then let scores fill in the blanks as usual. But by the way, it's perfectly natural to not feel completely ready for this test. Okay, so for tomorrow's lecture, the handout that I either emailed or loaded in the chat box, the one you got for amino acids, open up that document, and on the first page, you'll see the outline at the very bottom. It'll say the chapter reading, it'll say Organic Chemistry Book 2, pages I believe 233 through 259. But that will always be your go-to spot to figure out what's covered.
Look at the handout. That'll list what it is. And the portal is not always the best place to find things out. So Josh I think does his best to stay caught up to speed on everything, but it doesn't always work out that way. Okay. I'm going to try to go backwards, and it's working. I'm so happy. Somebody wanted me to go back to the first question. Uh-oh. Okay. And so I'm going to repeat the first question. And unfortunately, we won't have any writing on for it, I don't think. But is this the one? So I'm trying to. This is the one you want to go back to, right? Okay. So let me put everything up real quick, and then we'll talk about it. So I'm gonna cut to the chase. So again, it's a matter of which one's in the file, which one's left in the file. So let me stop at right here. Okay. So what we're basically doing is we're trying to figure out which one do we want to put a label on. So if I put a label on this H, right here. Notice that it ends up in the exact same spot. So because I've labeled this OH, this is the nucleophile group, and for the water, this is the lead group, that's going to come through water. So it ends up in the same spot either way. Doesn't help me. Second one, let's do the carbon. Group over here. Either way, it ends up in the same spot. Let's do the carbonyl group. Either way, it ends in the same spot. Didn't help me, but this O right here ends up here. That one ends up in the spot. So that's going to tell me what's going on. So therefore, if the OH, if the O, this OH alcohol oxygen ends up in water, this must have been the mechanism. If the O ends up as part of the ester, and this must have been the mechanism. So does that make sense? One or the other? Oh, you're very welcome. And it's like, usually it's like, when the light goes on, it's like, oh my gosh, how did I not see that before? Yep.
Yep.
And
that's exactly what things are.
There's
There's
an
an
on-off
switch
switch
for a lot of this
stuff.
stuff.
It's like
ding,
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 and life is good.
Any other side?
When you go back.
I'm
I'm gonna leave this as is for a second. Somebody asked, so
you can
you can
screenshot
away,
hopefully
unimpeded.
Oh, you're
You're very welcome. I'll see you tomorrow. Perfect.
Oh,
you're very welcome.
Tomorrow
Tomorrow
will
will be an intense one. So this is kind of a welcome to intensity. Tomorrow's gonna be a lot more intense.
All right. Oh, you're
welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
Perfect.
So enjoy the rest of your day as well. So on this one, it's just basically if you like take a biolabeling reaction. If you found the following, let's say that you put a radio-labeled glucose. Let's say you put carbon of the carbonyl glucose, and you fed it to some rat, and you found that a lot of it, like the kidney became very radioactive, but nothing else did. What would you conclude about where the sugar went? So make the sugar you're feeding it, put a radioactive on there.
Was it graded? Just gone?
Yeah. So the rat ate it, and it ended up in the kidney, let's say. Just like. And so my conclusion, okay, the kidney's absorbing a bunch of sugar. What can that be? So they might conclude, there might be some tumor there. There might be some extreme activity beyond what we expect. And so you can trace where it goes. So basically put a radioactive element on some molecule to see where it ends up, to see trace it. So is that something you've ever heard of bio?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense. But now in this case, instead of saying where does it go in biology, what part of the body, now saying, okay, where does it go in terms of the atom, the molecule? So instead of saying sugar going into the body, we're now saying a single atom, and where does it end up? So the H of this ends up in the water, no matter what. So if I turned this radioactive, it wouldn't help me at all. So for instance, if I radio-labeled water and put it in the body, would that be more useful or less useful than radio-labeling glucose? So why did they choose glucose for that instead of water?
Because water.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt what you were saying.
Oh no, I was saying because it's going to end up in the same place.
Water's going everywhere in the body. Exactly. You wouldn't know where it was. Whereas glucose, you can figure out exactly to the liver or the kidney or the brain or wherever it ends up. You can trace it. So same thing here. This H goes here. Didn't help me at all. The C went to the same spot. Didn't help me. This O goes to the same spot. Didn't help me. But if I were to put my label right here. If this is the true way to go, is this goes on there and kicks out that OH, not part of water, or if this is right, where that O comes in and attacks, kicks that out, and it's part of the ester, I can tell from where the O finishes, whether it's on water, on the ester. Finish on water, this must be right. Finish on ester, this must be right. So if that makes sense, I'm trying to figure out where it finishes, and then we're back to okay, it's finished there, and this must have happened.
Okay. So question is the equation at the bottom the intermediate, or just highlighting as where things go in the steps
before and after. Exactly. So this is before where it starts and where it finishes. And if you want to actually trace it through the step-by-step intermediate, it's good. But this is just beginning and end, beginning and end. So I'm looking at it just like same experiment. I feed the rat radio-labeled glucose. And the kidney gets it. So did we talk about how it gets in the kidney, or just that it ended up at the kidney?
Just it ended there.
Yeah. So if I label here, I don't know how it got there. I just did get here. I don't know how it got there. I don't know how it get here. But that would lead to a clue from the fact that it must have gone this other way.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So,
You're welcome.
you're welcome.
But here's a perfect example. So you totally get that concept of bio.
Would you agree?
Labeling
and tracing and see where it goes.
Yes.
Now it's a matter of applying it to a new situation.
Meaning
It's not new information. Something you already know how to do. It's something you have ingrained in it. It's in your wheelhouse of knowledge. It's a new situation.
And if you can
If
just
you just believe that.
And
Honestly, believing that you can do this is almost as important as being able to do it. It only comes with practice and time.
That's the
Only way you're going to get better at this is every time this does. And this is going to be weird. You're going to hear me say this
a lot,
and that is celebrate.
You now have 10 seconds to celebrate
that you
made
that leap.
The more you
The more you
celebrate,
celebrate, the more ingrained.
Be
Very positive about your learning.
Like
Sorry to give a speech, but it's
yeah.
Celebrate for 10 seconds. You kick butt on this question. Accept it. Yeah, I got that.
And then go on and
get beat up on something else, learn it, and then celebrate after that.
I like it.
Yep.
It's the only way you get better at these things. Because nobody's going to believe you if you don't believe me.
And
it's this crazy thing I'm
saying
over all the years doing this. The best scores are always talking people who know a good amount, not the unconfident people who know everything. It's weird how much confidence matters in this, but it's huge.
Yeah.
Starts with a little victories.
Thank you, Susie.
You're welcome. Okay.
I'll see you
tomorrow. Have a good day. All right. Well, I'm probably going to then check out.
You're
very welcome. And I appreciate the fact that you chimed in so much. Just thank you for just sometimes when we hit that dead space and waiting for a response, you saved us a few times. So thank you for your energy. It makes such a positive difference. It's huge. It's always going to be a little bit of stress, but it's also fun stress. Yeah, it really does. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hit the check button on this one.
So see
you tomorrow. And again, I'll be on early if you need anything. So have an absolutely wonderful day. And thanks for day one. See you tomorrow. So stopping it in 3, 2. See you tomorrow. Bye.